Sarah, film booth,
That's me.
actor and gym girl.
That's me. Yes. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I came across your profile. You're doing HYROX, and you've been in 1,000 television credits. And I was like, I had to talk to this person.
I
So,
was so surprised when you reached out. I was like, just to let you know, I am training for a HYROX. I'm not. I tried to get into the Toronto HYROX, but dude, that was sold out. So I had a pre-sale code, and I sat there for I don't know an hour and saw the numbers slowly come down. And when I got to it, it was just like sold out. Couldn't
yeah,
even get.
just think of it as being in an audition, and you're in the room, and like 100 girls are going in before you, right? That look kind of like you. Some of them are prettier, and then they come out and they go, thanks for coming, but
You can go home now.
you can go home now. Has that actually happened to you? Have you ever not been seen? Or they usually bother to see you. I lived in LA for a while, so I know about the biz.
You're like, I know all about it. Usually it's if you're more like in a cattle call situation. So if it's more like commercial or if you're going in for like a live show, it's more of that kind of vibe. But when you're going in for film and television, it's usually like you go in, like you have an appointment.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You go in, even if they've already cast, which happens so much, they'll basically be, casting a television show and say like, oh, we have Mila Kunis is interested in this role. She's like moments away from signing, but we still have to see all these other actors in case she doesn't or her schedule changes or whatever. So a lot of times actors, no name actors, we're going into these auditions being like, it's probably cast, but this is my time to show the casting director what I got, and they'll think of me for something else. Hopefully.
Yeah, so that's actually a story that you actually hear a lot of successful actors talk about is they'll say, I read for this part, they actually had me read for a different part, and then 2 projects later, they hired me. So actually I did live in LA for a while. I have some stories I could share with you.
Okay, so what brought you to LA?
Look at you turning it around on me. So
I'm gonna interview you now.
I did stand up and I was told, go to LA, damn it. This was 20 years ago. Sorry, I moved to LA in 1999. So this is, what year is it now?
Dude, we're
So this is 25 years ago.
Yeah, over 20. Damn.
And I loved stand up, and I didn't even understand I did not have the acting dream, but people were like, you have to do that. You have to not just do stand up if you're going to be anything. And so if you want to check my IMDb, I was in fact thug number 2 in a little movie called Ghost Rock, which is hilariously bad. It's a Western with Gary Busey and Jeff Fahey from Lawnmower Man and a bunch of other like.
And how was that experience? Like, what did you have fun?
Are you kidding me? It was a blast. So my friend was and I haven't told the story on this podcast yet, so people can hear it. So it's great.
This is new. This is exclusive.
Exactly. So I had a friend who said, listen, so I done some PA stuff, and she's like, hey, I can bring you on. You can be like the key PA or the headset PA, and we'll give you a couple lines, and you can get Taft-Hartley that way. You can get your side card. And I was like, well, that sounds great. So it was 3 weeks in the desert. That's actually Old Town Tucson, which is like a famous place where they do like rodeo shows and stuff. It's like, so the biggest thing was they filmed I think Silverado there, as well as maybe one scene from what's the famous one with Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday? What's that one? I'll Be a Huckleberry, that movie. I think they filmed maybe one scene there. Anyway, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, and then I got my one scene, and I got to say 2 lines, and they shot me, and I died, and
amazing. Did you stay in the movie?
I did in fact make the final cut, and I'm really glad because thug number 1 that scene didn't make it. And when she said, you have your option, here's like the speaking lines that we could give you. do you want to be thug number one or thug number two? Now, of course, you choose number two because that's just thug number two is just rolls right off the tongue as a credit, right? You grew up your whole life watching bad guy number two,
True. Yeah,
loud girl
absolutely.
number
That's true.
two.
It seems less important, but at the end of the day, you are so
Right.
much more important.
So yeah, so and I can tell you stories that we can some tell online, some offline, but I want to know who you saw as a young lady, guy or gal, that you were like, oh, that's what I want to do.
Well, you know what? It was really interesting because I grew up in a tiny, like, cow town in the middle of nowhere. So for me, when I watched movies, my parents were not like cinema movie. We had Disney movies. That was pretty much it. And so when I first started, watching more movies, it didn't even like occur to me that this is someone's job. Like, this is a real person and they have a life outside of this movie. So I always grew up wanting to do like PR. I like speaking in front of people. I liked the social kind of aspect of that. But I always was a dancer, horseback rider, like kind of like performing. And then my last year of high school, they had like an arts program that started because we were a very sports oriented high
Where did
school,
you
which
tell
I
people where you
loved. I
grew up?
love sports. I grew up in Ormstown, Quebec. So it's about an hour south of Montreal
And you
in
speak
Canada.
fluent French?
I do. Je parle très bien français. Yeah. So I get to act in French too, which is
Dude,
awesome.
you're a double
Super.
fucking threat.
Yeah, not a triple threat, but a
Although
double
you
language
do
threat.
ride
Yes.
horses, and I know that at the bottom of the resume in the old days, they would also say other skills, and you would put that special skills, and you would put that horseback riding.
Yeah. Horseback riding. Yeah, I actually got to do like an episode of Heartland, which is a famous like Canadian television show where I got to ride horses. It was just like, you get to mesh your two passions. It's rad.
So,
It's so
yeah,
much fun.
I was
So
told by my acting teacher, because I did take some classes, that no matter what they ask, you say yes. If you're in the room, can you ride a horse? Yep. Can you juggle?
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's funny is that I like grew up competing at a high level, but and this role, they were like, "Can you ride horses?" And I was like, "Absolutely." But they get so many actors that do that. So what they do is they fly you out, you do, you book the role, they fly you out, you do your costume fitting, and then right after your costume fitting, they're like, "We're gonna go do a riding lesson," which is essentially them being like, "Can this bitch ride?" So they throw you on a horse and then they're like, "Okay, do we need a double? Like, what's going on?" Because we all say, "Yeah, I've sat on a horse, no problem."
Anything to get that gig, man.
But
Anything to get the gig.
Anything to get, honestly, it's so hard. People don't realize how insanely hard it is to just book that one gig. Like, if you get an audition, you're celebrating because you're probably one in anywhere from 50 to 2 to 3,000 people just reading for that role. So if you book it, like, that's great. That's a really, really like huge accomplishment that I think a lot of actors maybe take for granted, or people outside of the business don't realize how huge it is to just work.
I think we actually know quite a bit. When I was a kid, way back a long time ago, you really didn't know and understood, but there's been so many like just behind the scenes, and like there's just been so much stuff that I think people kind of understand now in a way that like,
yeah, and I feel with social media, that's helped a lot. Like, people are sharing their stories and being like, "Hey, I'm a full-time actor. I work on all these television shows, but you'll also see me serving you a drink at this bar down the street."
I kind of like it more when it was a mystery, maybe a little bit more. I think I kind of liked a little bit of allure.
Yeah.
And I lived in LA, and so I do have some friends, and then I've gotten to know a couple of, actually, like, I would say, like, two of the biggest that guys that I know. One's John Carroll Lynch. You know him? So
I
he's in
don't.
he's in everything.
What is he? Is he in that documentary, the guy who's in that thing? Have you ever seen that
I
doc?
have, but he's bigger than that. He's
No way.
did you see Zodiac? I think that's his biggest role that people might know him from. This guy.
I didn't see Zodiac.
Okay,
Now
this
I have to
guy.
look. Oh my gosh, of course.
So I get to be
Of
friends with
course.
him, and we're still kind of buddies. So he's
funny,
legendary.
but
And then there's a guy here that lives in Atlanta, actually, named
Mhm.
Mike Panuski, who's also
Okay.
been like a cop or a judge in every show you've ever seen. One of those guys.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like even just just meeting those guys and becoming friends with them, like to me the allure is like that's so fucking cool, right? I just think we might have too much access now, Sarah. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't you
There's
think
too much. Too
sometimes we
much.
have too much?
So wait, my question to you is, okay, so you stand up and then you
Right.
lived in LA and
I
now
live in
where do you
Atlanta.
live? So you live in Atlanta now. And then so now you do hybrid fitness media. So how'd you fall in love with hybrid fitness? I need to know.
Sarah, my story is I'm I'm a really, really good lesson in number one, it's never too late. I started my first business at 30 something. I started my first podcast at 40. And another is to just fucking stick around. Because when I started an obstacle racing podcast in 2012, Spartan Race and all that.
I did Spartan. That's where I first started in LA is where I first
There
started
you
doing
go.
Spartan.
So
Because just sidetrack, my side hustle when I lived in LA is I used to do the live stunt show Waterworld at Universal Studios, which is a freaking obstacle course in itself. So that's kind of like what got me into
So they do
this
that. By the
world.
way, they do that at Old Tucson. They do the show where like the two guys shoot each other and jump around, and like I think we use some of those guys.
The
We use
Western
some of those
show.
guys in that movie. So so all I ever wanted to do was stand up. I worshipped comedians as a kid. It's all I wanted to do. I finally did. I got on stage my first time at like 23, and in my mind, I was starting too late. Like, oh my god, I should have started when I was 18. It's like 23 is fine, right? I moved to
Yeah.
Boston for a while, then I moved to LA, and I started doing promotions as a job, where you hand out the free stuff.
Yep.
So I
Done
did
that.
that for a few years, and then just a long story short, I started a company that hires other people to do that. I started a staffing company at 30, whatever.
Okay.
And then at some point, I turned to my wife who had acted, and she'd been in LA for like 20 years. I've been in LA for like 5 or 6. I just kind of realized I hadn't done stand up anymore. I was like, I think I'm done. It wasn't like a big like I'm through with the business. It was just like just kind of faded away. And then
Yeah.
in 2012, I started this podcast about Spartan Race because it seemed fun to me and it looked like a cool thing. Remember, this is 2012. Nobody knows what a podcast is.
No, like you are ahead of your
And I
time.
quickly became the guy and quickly realized, like, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So this is the part that I'll tell people who can really appreciate it, Sarah. I don't always tell this part. I had done the podcast about 6 months, right? And I would go to these races and people would say, "Thanks for what you're doing for the sport. I love what you're doing. This is great. Thank you." I just said it for 8 years. No one said thank you. You know what I mean? No one,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh." And to be honest, again, I know you can appreciate this. I couldn't take compliments for the longest time because when they would say,
Mm.
"I really love the show," or "Thank you for what you're doing," in my head, I was like, I'm just being me. It's just talking. I've since learned it's not. It's quite an art. I'm really good at it. I'm really proud of what I've done. I've got to interview some famous people. Like, I really like what I do. So there's
And that's the thing. It's like there's something about someone who's doing something that they're passionate about, they're good at, but it's also just like genuinely who they are. Like it's like casting. Why did you cast that person? They just had the thing. The thing I was looking, it's like an essence, and it's like when someone's presenting something to you, you either buy it or you don't. And it's different for different people, but I think like that's what's so important about having success in especially podcasting is people just thinking that you're genuine, and you are who you are. I think it's
well,
so
here's the other
important.
big secret, Sarah, which I think again you'll appreciate.
Mhm.
I did stand up because I loved it, but also because I wanted to get famous, I wanted to get rich, I wanted to get laid, I wanted adulation. And that's not why I started the
Mm.
podcast. And so you see which one paid off.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
genuine, earnest. This is who I am. This is an expression of me, and I love it, whether I make money or not. And then guess what? You can make money doing it that way, which is it's like the deepest secret that like everyone knows but doesn't know.
Yeah. It's so true. Like for me, you know, obviously being an actor is a super fun, crazy career. I love it. But there are times of lull. You know, there's times where you're like, "Oh my god, I'm so busy, I have to say no to things." And then there's times where you're just like, when's the last time I worked? You know, it's like, ugh, it's stressful and it's very much out of your control. So for me, like when I first moved to LA, I knew I needed a side hustle because it was so expensive to live there. And I was like, instead of going into bartending, or I had waitressed in the past where you're up till 3 a.m., you know, it just doesn't like kind of like give you momentum in like a healthy lifestyle. So for me, I went into fitness and it completely changed my life. Like it completely changed my life. I was getting up and teaching 6 a.m. classes because I needed to be available for the day to audition. And I just, my body changed, my attitude changed, my perception on everything changed. And and it's something that I was like, you know what? I really want, my goal in life is to marry both, to be an actor, but also to have a fitness brand, to continue training people. Like I love it so much. People say, what's the hardest thing about being an actor? I'm like, not working.
Where are you now?
That's the hardest thing. Right now, I'm in Windsor, Ontario. So we used to live in LA. And then when COVID hit, we were like, we got, you know, we're Canadian. Let's just go home. We don't know what's happening. And we still like bounce back and forth from LA to Windsor. But my husband's from Windsor. He's a filmmaker. And it just seemed like a good spot. We could afford a house here. We're 20 minutes from Detroit Metro Airport. So, you know, 5 minutes from the border. And then I work mostly like Toronto,
Dude, I
Montreal
was just in
area.
Windsor. I was just in Windsor at a
I know, like, okay, so do you know how close you were? So University of Windsor is, I shit you not, 2 blocks from my house. I was gonna go the Sunday morning because I had heard that they were doing this, the simulation, like maybe just a week before. I didn't know about it. And I was like, oh man, I want to sign up. But you know, a week out, I was like, I feel like I'm just not prepped to like, if I did a
right.
doubles, I could do it. But I was gonna go the Sunday morning and I didn't end up going. But I heard you guys like
Amazing.
from my, I could hear you guys like cheering, and it looked
So yeah,
amazing,
and we
the
could talk a
event.
lot about that as well, because I really like those guys, and he's continuing to do stuff. But again, you if you go to your IMDb, you have a lot
Yeah.
of like small roles, one episode. But which
Mhm.
of those kind of early gigs did you feel like I think I'm in the business now? I think I'm a working actor.
Ooh, that's
That's
a
what I
great
do. I ask
question.
great questions.
Um, it's my talent. I feel like, well, early on in my career, I booked a what I thought was a one-day role on a French soap opera. So in Montreal, we have what they call téléromans, which is our French soap operas, and they shoot, you know, 5 days a week because it plays 4 days a week. You know, we were shooting 30 pages a day. It's like the best actor training ever. So, anyways, I booked 4 episodes, but you shoot those 4 episodes in the one day. They're like, thank you very much. Please leave. So I was like, great, book this role. And then they just kept calling me back. And I ended up being on the show for like 3 seasons, for like 40 episodes. So at that time, I was like, okay, now I'm working. But it was very on in my career. And that was a great lesson because I was working, I was working, I was working. And then all of a sudden, I wasn't because my character was off the show. And then you're like, oh, we're starting again at not
But
zero,
kind of.
but kind of, yeah. So that's the hard mental part is, you know, and I can just imagine huge celebrities that are, you know, you just had a really good run of a couple of years and then all of a sudden you're back to like, okay, let's climb the mountain again, you know, like that must be it's hard for the ego sometimes.
Um, Is there a role that you got super close to that you didn't get that you kick yourself for, that you were just one of those that like it got away?
There's one role that I was really, really wanting to get. It was I auditioned for it last summer, and it's actually the movie's coming out this fall, and I just saw like the trailer and the promo for everything, and it's just one of those roles where you're like, oh, all the boxes tick for me. Like she's French Canadian, she's a soldier, like all these things that like I play so much. And I'm super excited to get to see the movie. I know who got the role. She's part of my agency. She's amazing as well. But you know, some of those you're just like, ah, damn, that was really like, that was really me. I really wanted that. And it's a true story. So all those things. But it's also really interesting nowadays because the industry's changed so much is I'll audition for these great parts because you know Toronto's such a hub. We're all auditioning for these things, and you're like, oh, I have a really good chance. Like this is a good one, and then you find out like the biggest celebrity got it, and you're
I
like,
never had a chance.
you're like the fact that I was so like, yes, this is mine. You know, it's like that's what's hard these days. Is huge, huge celebrities are doing
Right.
television now and doing
Right.
like a guest star or
Right.
a cameo, and you know that's what we're competing with right
Right.
now, which
They
is
call it stunt
what's fun.
casting.
Stunt
When you're
casting. Yeah,
watching a
exactly.
show, so like The Bear is like the most famous for it. Like you're watching it and like all of a sudden someone you've never seen shows up and it's like the biggest star in the world and they show up for one episode and get in and get out and they crush it and bye. That's it. You'll never see them again.
Yeah, yeah. And I get it. Like I produce stuff as a producer, 100%. That sounds like a dream. But you know, as an actor where you're like building your career, it can be frustrating sometimes, but it's just part of the game, you
So
know?
this show Three Pines that you're on, let's talk about that
Yeah.
one.
That was probably one of the best, you know, acting experiences of my life. It was great. I got to shoot the show about 40 minutes from where I grew up. So it was very much my world, what I grew up in, the people, the small town people, characters. And I got to work with Alfred Molina, which was incredible. He's such an amazing actor and an amazing human. And, you
Did you
know,
ask him about Boogie
just
Nights?
I did. Yeah. He was like, honestly, he's the most open book you can ask, as he refers. When you first meet him, you're like, "Hi, Alfred. It's so nice to meet you." He's like, "Please call me Fred." So we refer to him as Fred. But yeah, I mean, he was so open to talking about all of his experiences, and he's also like the type of dude that, you know, if I'm in LA, I was in LA in April, and I was like, "Hey, Fred, I'm in town." You know, he's like, "Hey, what's up? Let's meet up." You know, like he's super social and fun and just a great
Yeah, I
guy.
mean, I've
Yeah.
I've met my share of like celebrities and some are nice and some are not so nice and because I do this like I've gotten to be at certain things and so when we shot that Ghost Rock, I was like driving them to set in the morning and I drove Adrian Barbeau a couple times and I watched her
Okay.
like on in the movie called like The Thing and like I'd seen not
Mhm.
Swamp Thing she was in, not The Thing. The Thing is a John Carpenter movie. But
Yeah.
but I've definitely been like legit starstruck. Like if you see someone on TV when you're 10 or 12, it's kind of a big deal in person. And then they end up being super nice and it's even better. You're like, well, now I will always root for them no matter what, because they were nice to me.
Yeah, I remember the first big, big job that I got, I was still living in Montreal, and I booked this role where I would do all my scenes with Eric Bana. And it was the first time I was acting opposite like a huge Hollywood celebrity. So I remember we had rehearsals because in the scenes there was a little girl, and had to, and it was like stressful scenes. So we had a rehearsal before we actually went to location. And I remember he was like sitting in a room before we all met in a room, and I remember just walking by the room and seeing him, and my heart was like, "Oh my god. Oh my god, and now I have to act with him and like everyone's going to judge, I was new in my career. I was just so afraid of everything." And I remember almost like passing out. Like I was so like I worked myself up so much, and then as soon as we started working, it was just like, "Oh my god, it's just a human," like we just it's crazy what our brains will do when it's like you build up this idea of this person and then you meet them in real life and you're like, wow, you're just like me. You're just a human going to work, doing your thing. And whenever you meet a celebrity too, it's always fascinating by how much smaller they are every time. You know, because you see them on screen,
Right.
you imagine like this giant person,
Right.
and
They're
then you
always
meet,
short. The
and
dudes
you're
are
like,
always
oh, yeah,
short.
dudes are always short. Yeah, which is great. Great for me because I'm short, so they don't like tall
Right.
ladies that much.
So we have to talk SVU because I was looking at your IMDb and it's like SVU and it's like, well, who hasn't? I mean, if you work, you're gonna be on Law and Order. If you live in New York, but I was like, she's not just like random. She's not thug number two. Like she's the victim.
No.
So
Oh yeah.
so
It was
so
like
so I didn't finish watching it because I was like, when I saw it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch it on the big TV, and I never got around it. So I was watching it this morning. So you got to do this entire range, right? You got to fight, you got to be sad. There's a scene where you fight, then you're sad immediately afterwards. I mean, tell me how much fun that was.
so I was living in LA at the time, trying to just do my thing, get by. And I get this audition for SVU. And I'm just like, just getting this audition, bucket list, made my day. I used to watch this show all the time. And I was just like, I'm like, just the opportunity is incredible. So I taped for it. I sent it in. I wasn't happy with it. I retaped and then I sent it to my agent. And then gosh, so quickly, like I think I sent it on a Friday, Monday. He's like, hey, will you shave your head for this role? And I was like, yes, of course. Like, sure, why not? Like, I'm that type of girl, right? And then at the time I had like a little bit of a shaved like side cut kind of thing, but that was growing out. And he's like, okay, cool, I'll get back to you. They're interested. And I like just that, I was again flabbergasted. And then he got back to me and he was like, you booked it. Like they don't want you to shave your head. They just want like the thingy reshaved and you booked it. And I like it was incredible. It just like it was one of the best moments of my career. It was just, like those moments of like, oh, I dreamt of this moment. I've dreamt of this. It's one of those shows that you look at the list, the cast list, and you're like, all of these actors have gone on to have incredible careers. And then I went to New York, had that whole crazy experience. Mariska Hargitay, Ice-T, like it was fantastic. And then the producers watched the episode and they were like, "We love you. We want to shoot more." So they flew me out and we shot even more. And it was just it was great. Like again, I got to fight, I got to do military stuff, I got to do all my own stunts. There was scenes of joy, there were scenes of like hurt, sadness. It
Well,
was all
listen, you were
there.
a very tough
It was such a
girl,
great casting.
and it takes a pro like Mariska
Yeah,
to break you down and tell you it's okay.
right?
It's really okay. It's not your fault, Sarah. It's not your fault.
Dude. Like, literally, all she has to do is just, like, look in your eyes, and you're like she's so and she honestly so she was one of the first, I guess, big actors that I had, like, a lot of time to spend with them on set because the whole episode was about my character, essentially. So, when I first got there, obviously, you're nervous, all these things, and she did something that for me, like when I'm the number one on the show, I want to do this for anyone who comes to my show. Is she sat me down and she was like, "Look, we do the same shit every week. There's a crime, we solve it." She's like, "Our show is about our guest stars, and that's you." And she's like, "I just want to let you know that we're here for you.
Amazing.
We want yeah, we want you to have fun. We want you to explore." And it just like essentially set me up to not be safe, not to be like, "Oh, this is a big gig. Let's just like deliver what we know will work." It set me up for like, "Let's try this. Let's try that. Let's take chances." And I think it really shows in the episode. It was rad. And like shooting in New York when you have like 200 people watching you, because these people find out where they shoot and they show up and they want to get autographs from Mariska. And it was like almost doing like theater, like pop-up theater in the middle of New York. It was fantastic.
Well, that's like exactly what you would want them to say. The thing what she said to you, like that's like the dream, as opposed to we do this shit every week and let's deal with whoever this co-star is and we don't give a shit, which is another way to be about it,
Yep.
right? Like I don't give a fuck.
100%.
Get in, get out, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's awesome that she was that way with you. What did they add? What scenes did they add that weren't there before that you had to fly back to shoot?
They added the beginning scenes where, like, I'm in the boardroom and they're just kind of, like, setting me up for, like, what I'm about to do, like, go on tour because 'cause I'm the first female Army Ranger.
So here's what's interesting. I remember
Mhm.
thinking that the show, you have your whole intro, right? And
Yeah,
then the bad thing happens, and then
yeah,
they show up and they're doing their first walk and talk. And I remember thinking, like, oh, that's usually where the show starts. The show usually starts with, here's our victim, and then they go visit you. So that's probably how it was written, because that's how it felt. Again, if you're a super,
yeah,
super TV nerd and you know these things, my wife hates
yeah.
it that I point things out like that don't make sense, or I feel like,
You're like, "I know the
well,
recipe
that
of this
show is, well,
show."
that, I mean, listen, Law and Order is Law and Order, but I'm just saying, if we're watching a show, a lot of times I'm like, that's probably the guy that did it, and she hates it, and so sometimes I keep it to myself, but I also nitpick. And again, television movies, you're supposed to suspend belief, but I'll pick
Mhm.
out something really, and I'm not the only guy to do this because I've seen it like on Instagram where like I see something and I'm like, oh well, come on, if you do something that takes me out of it, then I'm mad.
I'm the same. I have a lot of trouble watching television and film now because I've seen the sausage be made, right? So I know, like, and it's probably like ADD too, because someone will walk on screen and say their one line. I'll be like, co-star. Or like, like someone will like throw a punch and say one line. I'll be like,
Right,
stunt
right,
actor that got a line. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, stop,
right.
stop. Just
Or
watch the show. Or if they like, cut to like the knife, you're like, well, now they're gonna use the knife soon, you're like, ah,
I'm that way too. So I'm totally,
Yeah, so
yeah,
it would be great
I'm
watching
totally that
stuff
way.
together.
And when someone, it's funny because I saw this talked about on another podcast. When someone doesn't speak, and it's like, oh, they couldn't have thrown that person a line. Like they just, come on, they didn't
They
want to
didn't
pay
wanna
them,
pay
so
them.
they're standing there and they're like, they could have been like the fourth friend or whatever. Um, but for like the fighting scene, like the Fight Club scene, right? It's the first time we see
Yeah,
like the shaved head or whatever. Like, tell me, like,
yeah.
how long did that scene take to shoot?
Ooh, I think it was a good, like, half day because we had so many extras, which was also
Because they're
rad,
cheering for
to
you.
just, have all these people yell at you. Yeah, yell, like, "Go, go, go," it's so fun. But essentially, so what we did was we had a stunt rehearsal day where, like, one day where I had some time off, we went and did, like, 2 or 3 hours of planning out the fight because you have to also like, I'm fighting this, like, 200 and, like, 40-pound dude. So they're like, we have to get some moves in there that like make it believable that you could like take him down, right? Because like I'm like 120 pounds. So we worked that out. And then when we went and actually shot the thing, it was about half a day. And it was exhausting because you're doing it over and 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 over. And you have all these people yelling at you and your adrenaline's high. And oh yeah, like that kind of stuff is for me, that is like the best. Like you don't see time go by. I love mixing the fighting and the acting. Like I love playing tough girls. Yeah, for me, like action, that is where it's at for me. I love it.
So you do have a little bit of an oot and a boot. How do you consciously hide that? How do you, a little bit.
um,
I hear it come out when we're talking sometimes. How conscious of you when you're shooting? Does one slip out and you're like, oh shit, can we do that again?
usually like if I'm just being Sarah, it'll probably come out. But but if I've learned lines, then I'm pretty conscious of my oots and boots. Or they'll call me out on set. They'll be like, Sarah, you kind of sounded Canadian. I'll be like, sorry. I mean,
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
sorry.
So, like, I'm watching The Wire again, which is like, the best show ever. And I'm
Oh,
watching every scene with Idris Elba, and I'm just like, how the fuck does he do that? Right. And I'm also the one that will point it out, like once in a while, him or what's his name, McNulty, once in a while you will hear their accent slip. And like nobody catches it
mhm,
but psychos like me, right? Like you
right.
just a little bit, right?
Here for it.
But I'm saying like he's acting his ass off, right? And I just can't imagine he's fucking Stringer Bell's fucking super badass. And they go cut. And he's like, all right, what's the, you know what I mean? Like, how the fuck do you do that? Like, it must be so bizarre shooting with
Right.
him.
And or some people, so what some actors will do is they'll keep the accent when they yell cut, just because it's like, they'll be like, okay, go. And then you'll have to say like a few words before you start to get back into it. So, like if I do, like for Three Pines, I had a French Canadian, very thick French Canadian accent. Sometimes I would just kind of roll with it in between takes. So I didn't have to like, say certain words before each take just to get back into it. But yeah, like or some actors just like turn it on right away. I think it's kind of fun for certain actors to use accents because it allows you to kind of jump in a little deeper, if that makes sense. Like not only are you being this other person, but you're completely changing the way you speak. So it almost feels like you're taking it a little bit further. And I feel like when I work with an accent, I do have to work my text way more than if it's just like, oh,
So
like
tell
this is
tell
just
people what
regular,
that
like
means. Work my text. What does that mean?
like work my text like like so before we go on set we'll memorize our lines. Well, I mean, most actors do, hopefully. And then but sometimes if there's like an accent, you'll have to like a lot of actors will use the International Phonetic Alphabet, so you're changing like sounds of parts of words, in order to make it sound like you're from, you're Irish or whatever. So you really have to dissect words, and it makes you learn your text way more because you're just paying way more attention to it, and like I guess like you have your hands in it a little bit
So yeah,
more.
that's why I asked
Yeah.
if you could speak fluent French, because just watching you put kind of a reel on your feed, you can tell like that character. I'm like, well, clearly that person actually can speak French because you're doing this like happy sing song, sidekick cop
Yeah.
lady.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone's like, "Oh, how," because where I grew up, all the French people who speak English speak like that mostly, and so I've been around that accent so much. And that accent, the one that I did, is my mom. Like
So you just think about your mom.
100% my mom. Yeah, it's my mom. Like my mother to a T.
We'll,
So it's
we'll,
like it's really funny. She's
we'll
very proud
give
of that, by the
well,
way.
she should be. We'll give the audience a little tease because I could edit in later, but I'll probably forget. So we'll just we'll give people a little bit of the sauce. Where'd it go? Sarah Film Booth.
On Instagram, that's me.
It's not a movie, Agent Nicole. Step back. There's a grieving family inside.
Oh, okay. I think someone was getting a little afternoon delight.
You kidding me?
Hey, anyone mind if I keep these?
You're kidding.
So yeah, that was the line when you said the afternoon delight. I was like, oh, she speaks French. She speaks French.
Day, yeah, definitely. It's a hard accent to nail. I gotta say, I've seen people that aren't French Canadian, do it, that have done a great job, and then I've also seen others where I was like,
Yeah, so I'm from Boston. When I see bad Boston accents or bad Southern accents, and again, I'm such a fucking psycho nerd. If I'm watching a show and I'm like, oh, that's Kentucky, like that's different than Georgia, which is different than Texas. Like again, I'm just a psycho with that stuff.
You're the one we fear. You're the one we fear. But like it's hard. Also, to be fair, yes, there is like you can hear when someone's from a certain area, but when you go to that area, there's also so many like slight variations of that accent too. So it's hard to be like, we kind of have to
Right.
generalize in certain, unless you're playing a real person, then you can
Right.
be like,
But
okay,
like
that's
I pride
exactly how.
myself on it. So if I meet someone, right, and I say, "Are you from Ohio?" and they're like, most people say Michigan, and I'm like, I fucking nailed it. You know what I mean? I'm so happy. Or the different New York ones, or New York versus New Jersey. Again, why does this matter? I don't know, but it's a talent that I have. I like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. Have you ever heard the
What does it
Newfoundland
sound like?
accent? Oh, I would butcher it. It's like a Canadian accent on
Really?
crack. Oh yeah, like go look it up after. You'll have a grand old time. But I've had to audition for a couple of things where it's Newfie accent, and I'm like, oh, this is hard. Like it's really hard to nail that accent because it's so specific. And when you go up there, I've worked in Newfoundland before, and you hear someone speak with a Newfie accent, it's so unique and
All right. Well, I gotta
wonderful.
try it. We gotta try it.
Yeah, you gotta hear this one.
Okay, here we go. Irish versus Newfoundland.
The accent is the most mental thing about the whole situation. Like, really,
He's Irish.
People like, because even the boys, they said like this is what Newfoundland sounds like, but it's not at all.
Yeah.
So when you leaves St. John's about a half hour down, you're running the Bay Bulls and Whitmas Bay. That's what I call it.
So it's half Irish, half
Like almost like a sing-songy. There's like an Acadian, like
Right.
there's it's so hard
Right.
to nail. But when you go there, you're like, oh, it's so lovely to sit in a
dude.
pub
So
and
I was
listen
just in
to.
Scotland, and I was like, it's like a dream for me because I just soak it in, and
Yeah.
I told people like on this episode, I'm like, I know a lot of you listen at like 1.5 speed. Like, you're not going to be able to do that for this one because I only know what
Right.
he's saying because I'm
No.
looking right at his mouth. But if I
Yeah.
wasn't, I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you what he said.
Oh, it's like a completely different language. Like for me, I'm fluent in French, but when I go to France, I really have to focus because it is a very different way of speaking.
And also, it's like context clues. Like, so I went on a run, and I got lost sort of, and I was asked the guy, like, I was like, which way to the road? And he said like the name of the two towns. I don't want to. He said, I forgot what it was. He was like, Ayr or Prescott. He was like asking me, is it Ayr or Prescott? Like, which side do I want to be on? But if I didn't know, if I hadn't been there 3 days and already know, I would have been like, I'm sorry, I'm an American. What did you just say? Like, it was like the Ayr or Prescott side. And I was like, oh, that's the Prescott side or whatever he said. So yeah, again, like, why do I care so much about accents? I don't know. It's just something that I dig.
It's fascinating. I love accents. They're fascinating to me. Yeah. I wish I could do more. My Boston's probably horrendous.
Yeah, I'm from Boston, so I if someone does a bad Boston or a bad Southern accent, then I'm on it. Let's go through your IMDb some more because we want to talk about some fun shows. Let's see. Plan B, 6 episodes, 2024.
Yes. I did that last year. Yeah, it was only 6 episodes, the whole series. It's basically every season, or like every season is an anthology. So, season 1 is about like a husband and a wife like splitting up. My season 2 is about a cop who is trying to save someone from domestic violence, me. And then season 3 just dropped now. But essentially, like, the one overlying like thing in each season is this agency that you can call, that's called Plan B, and you can go back in time. But it's really interesting how they do it, because each day that you go back in time actually costs like $1,247. You have to be able to, like, if you want to go back in time like 3 months, that's a lot of money. So it makes a very grounded sci-fi, which I really, really liked. Yeah. And it kind of also like plays with the themes of, if you could change something, would you? And how does that affect the rest of, like, the butterfly effect, right?
Yeah. Let's see. Hang on, let me pull this up. Where did it go? Hang on. Where did it go?
She's no longer on IMDb.
Well, I was trying to pull up just acting, and it brought up all your other stuff, and there we go. So where did you shoot Chicago Med?
In Chicago. Yeah, that was actually my first time in Chicago. It was great. I've driven through many times, but I've never really spent time there. So I was there last September. Got to hang out with the crew. It was great. Like, stayed at the waterfront. It's a well-oiled machine.
Like
that
SVU,
show.
right?
Very much, same machine, same world. Oliver Platt, awesome. What a great dude. Again, from The Bear. It's so funny because I congratulated him on The Bear, and he's like, "Oh, that web series."
That web series.
I'm like, yeah, that web series. But yeah, honestly, I want to go back to Chicago, and there is a HYROX in Chicago mid-November.
You can sign up for it. It's about to go on sale.
It's not far.
That's they've been to Chicago a lot, and then for some reason there was a holdup on why this one was released. So
yeah, because there was like a new location.
Who knew? Right? There was supposed to be some issue, and then it turned out it was fine. But you can probably still get into Toronto because they're doing this new system where it used to be no refunds or no changes, and you would just sell it to someone and they would just put their name in. That was it. Now they did a thing where if you pay for it in advance, which is called a flex ticket, if you decide not to go, they're going to put it back in the system. So like, for example, they just
Okay.
re-released Birmingham and Dublin, right, which are not close to you. But
No.
they will. We just don't know how that works. We
That's really good. That's good to know, though.
yeah,
I'll keep my
definitely.
eye out on the site. Toronto is just
So
so easy for me.
where
I
do
have
you
so
like?
many
What's your gym?
My gym, I'm with
Okay,
Garage
and
Gym.
are they a HYROX affiliate? Okay, so then
They
they should
are. Yeah.
know. Stay close to them.
Yeah. Joe, one of our trainers, he's going to Toronto. So he got in, and that's who I've been training with because he's going. And I was like, well, I'm just going to train with you because I want to know more about HYROX. I want to do a HYROX eventually. Like, yes. So basically we've been like working our way up to a full. And yesterday we did our first full doubles, which, dude, that was fantastic compared to singles. Holy shit. Like, it was so nice.
Yes,
We
you
can
can.
swear here, right? It's fine. Okay, great. It was so nice to have moments of breath. Like, what a difference. I'm really good on like my heart rate can recover very quickly. So if you give me like 10, 15
That's why
seconds,
doubles is
I
the
can
best.
push.
I love doubles.
Doubles is great, but like so far I have not done a full singles yet. I've only done where we've done either all of the running and half of like the distances, so like 500-meter ski, and then you go through the whole thing, or we've done all of the running and then just like half of the actual disciplines. But like my come to Jesus moment is like 200 meters into that ski. Like, holy shit. But when I did the doubles, I didn't really have a
Right,
come
because
to
you
Jesus
stop.
moment.
And there's something about the stopping and letting someone else do the work that if they weren't there and you just stopped, it wouldn't feel the same. But you're with that person together, you're struggling together, you're laughing together, you're fighting together, like fighting the good fight together. Singles is a
Yeah.
slog, and I love doubles. That's what I can say. Anybody's listening,
Have you done
I've done one
singles?
singles, and I might not do another one. It's
How was that
horrible. It's really
experience?
horrible, but some people like that. And if you're super
Yeah.
fit and you're like, I want to see if I can get under an hour or whatever, great. I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
I love doubles. I
Yeah.
want to improve my doubles times. I want to get faster, like all those things. But I also like doing it with a person. It's fun. Yeah,
It's
teamwork
teamwork.
does in fact make the dream work. So
And I have to say, doing a doubles, you can push hard. You know what I mean? Like I did my first doubles yesterday and I was like, okay, I feel really tired. That's great. Next time we can shave 5 minutes off.
exactly.
For sure.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
tell me, how did your training shift once you started to train for HYROX?
Well, I feel like I had to balance out a little because I was lifting. I did a lot of like bar kind of, group fitness stuff. So when I moved to Windsor, I started going to Garage Gym, which is functional fitness, heavy lifting. We also have like conditioning days and we mix it up, but it's focuses on heavy lifting. And I never lifted heavy before in my life. So my body changed in the first like year and a half, really changed because of the lifting. And then once we introduced HYROX back like into our gym and program, I felt like I had to like find a good balance between, because HYROX really like it, if you don't take the time to recover, you're going to suffer in your, in your lifting life. And then you're also going to suffer in your next HYROX. So I feel like recovery for me was the biggest thing that I had to shift.
You
when I
weren't
started
recovering
training.
enough?
No, because I would go do a HYROX and then go into the gym the next day and like, try to get a PR. And I'm just like, girl, like pick one, So right now I'm not trying to PR anything. I'm just trying to push focus on my running more. I'm running a half marathon in about a month too. So I've been very focused on
which one are you doing?
Doing the one here in Windsor, the
Okay.
waterfront one. Yeah, I tried to get into the Detroit Free Press, which is awesome. It's a marathon, starts in Detroit, run over the bridge, come to Windsor, go through the tunnel, and you
Love
go
it.
back to Detroit. So international marathon. And I don't know what's up with races this year, but everything's sold out. Everything is
How does that
sold.
work for like passports and stuff?
So that's why you have to register by a certain date, because then you have to do like immigration kind of like before.
So they just allow it on the day.
Yeah, you have to submit your passport and that kind of thing. So I think it's like they screen you before and then you can pass.
That's
on
a
the day.
super
It's
cool
totally
idea.
fine. It's very cool. A lot of people love that marathon. So, and even the half marathon, still you do the international part. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, everything's sold out this year. Like all the marathons, all the half marathons, all the HYROXs.
We're
like,
in a
I love
fitness
it.
boom.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's great. I mean, I love that people are doing races for fun. Like that's such a great,
Right.
such a great
Well, something
activity.
else you should try, which is probably coming to Canada soon, is Deadly Dozen, which
Okay,
is
what's that?
so HYROX is 10 station, Deadly Dozen is, how do you say 12 in French? 12.
12.
So
12.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
6, 7, 8,
8,
9.
9, 8,
Yeah, 8, 9, 10, 11,
11.
12.
11 is 11.
11. Yeah, so like in Spanish is like, isn't it once? Like
11, 12,
10.
14.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna be like, no, it's not, Sarah. You know
If I was on a show, they'd be like, "That's amazing. Can you not sound over exaggerated and racist? Can you not do that, please?"
yeah, exactly. Please sit down, Sarah.
What was I saying? The hell was I saying?
Oh, the
Yes,
Deadly Dozen.
Deadly Dozen. So
Deadly Dozen.
it's run around the track once, do a station. Run on the track once, do a station. So it's just one loop, and you do these 12 stations, and there's no
So it's 400
400
meters
meters.
of running.
So there's no
Okay.
stations. It's all weights, plates, and dumbbells. And there's carries back and forth. There's like the reps are really high. Really fun. And just
Okay.
like HYROX has gym events, people are starting to do Deadly Dozen gym events. What about DECA? Have you heard of DECA?
No, and I was looking at your Instagram, and I was like, what is this?
Well,
DECA?
your
What-
gym,
yeah,
if they
what is-
choose to be a DECA affiliate, they can put on these DECA events. The difference is, so you know, how, like Hessman, where I did mine, which was a sim, right? And it's just a sim, and it
Yeah.
was fun. And we did our thing, right? This, when you do these DECA Fit is the big one that's at the events. It's going to be in Austin. It's, wherever it is. The gym events, there's
Okay.
only there's a strong and a mile, right? So stations
Okay.
are the same, but mile of running or no running, just the stations. And that has a leaderboard.
Okay.
And so if you do well, you are on the leaderboard, and there's a world champs at the end of the year. So like it matters. Whereas, like I said, anyone can put on a sim. It can be a full sim, a half sim, or whatever. And it's independent in its own thing. DECA is all one ecosystem. So it's pretty cool. So talk to your gym guy about that. If you like fitness racing.
Yeah. I love it. Honestly, for me, it's like it simulates for me like the playground. That's what it feels like for me. Like when I was, growing up, we would, like, I still see my elementary school playground would be like, okay, so you're going to swing 10 times, and then you're going to go through the swings, then you're going to hit the monkey bars, and then you're going to go across, and then the spider kind of like,
Of
you know
course.
what I'm talking about, like the half dome. You're going to do that, then you got to hang upside down, then you got to come up, and then you got to crawl down, then you got to go down the slide, and then you got to go touch there. Like that's what we used to do as
So
kids.
which Spartan did you do?
I did an obstacle course. Gosh, it was like not Northern California, but it was like maybe like 2 hours north of LA. I forget where it was. And then I did the 10K Spartan trail run, which was I would say about an hour and a half north of Ventura. You know that little Dutch town?
Oh,
The
is it
windmill town?
Solvang?
Yes, it was right
Do you know
close
why?
to
Do you know why I
Solvang.
know
Yeah.
Solvang? Because I did stand up there.
Why? No
So-
way. That's awesome. What a great little
But you
spot.
could
It's very cute.
imagine like 8 people at a bar to listen to me tell jokes in Solvang.
Like a little windmill just turning in the background.
I mean, but but again, like when I did really love it, even though earlier we talked about kind of doing it for the wrong reasons, I did really enjoy it. Like I look at, like, if you asked me then, like, well, what happens if you don't get famous? And I would have said, oh, well, I'll just travel around and do comedy and it'll be fine. it would have not have
Yeah.
been fine. I look at people
Mm.
who are my age or around my age, and they are headlining like the Chuckle Hut in Lafayette, Indiana, and that would be fucking horrible at my age.
Mm.
I'd have to be away from my family. You know what I mean? Like, but when I was young,
And that's the thing, it's like it has to be
Right.
worth it for you. For some people, that's worth it. For other people, they're like,
well, the
that's not worth it.
28-year-old, it's awesome. You don't need that much money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, there's no way I would have survived on that. And I think it would feel pretty hollow. Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have no regrets about, you know what I mean? And it turns out this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I'm the best at.
It's what
It
you were
really
born
is.
for.
And I can't, you know what I mean? Like that's
So when you go to the events, do you interview people at the
yeah,
events?
like that's always really kind of the most fun is doing that, is talking to people like at the finish line or
Hearing their
even
story.
like, you know, I just got to do a race in Scotland and just interviewing like the DJ, right? Because he's a really cool guy and he goes to a bunch of events. And I just
Yeah.
when I go back and listen to these, I can hear the excitement of my voice. I can hear the like, and it is a little like I am in fact like bipolar, right? Like I was
Mhm.
diagnosed like 7 years ago, and it is a little sometimes a little manic, right? But I can just hear my excitement because I'm like, oh, let's go talk to this person. Let's go talk to this person, right? But that's what I like doing,
Yeah.
right? I clearly like feed off that, right? But the other thing
100%.
about getting older, I also really like to be alone and do nothing. Do you go that way?
This is a nice way to connect with people, but also be alone.
Yeah, but do you go through that where you're just like, I need to like shut the fuck off and get away from people?
Oh, 100%. I'm an introvert, which a lot of people are like, no, you're not. I'm like, yes, I am. I know I am. I am very bubbly and very friendly, and I love being social, but I do have I guess like a turn off point. I'm, like 90 minutes and I'm like, I need to go sit in a room and just stare
Yeah,
at the wall by
I
myself.
can't
That'd be nice.
even now that I can kind of afford it, I can't even do roommates anymore. And I used to always book a hotel with a friend because it's cheaper and because it's fun. But when I'm in the hotel,
Yeah.
I want to A, do nothing, right? B, watch TV and
Yeah.
not have to fight over what I'm watching. C, call my wife. You know what I mean? D, nap, right? Like those are the things I want to do in the hotel room, and I don't want anyone around for any of those things.
Yeah. 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 Like when I go on a gig, it's fantastic because I know that I'm going to a place where I'm pretty much alone. I'm going to a hotel, then I go to work, and then I go back to the hotel. And for some people, that's like, oh, that sounds sad. And it's like, no, when I'm at home, I have I have my dogs and my husband and my friends and my life. And then when I work, I get to be solo, and I really like
Your Honor,
that.
I'd like to point out that Sarah did in fact say the dog before the husband. I just want to say,
Oh, he knows, trust me. 3 dogs. 3 dogs.
so again, because just how my mind works, we're going all over the place. But I do want to hear about Sarah. Have you been on a set, right? And you're shooting something and you are not getting it,
Mhm.
and like it's the third or fourth take, and like they're frustrated with you, and you're like, holy fuck, I'm blowing this, which actually usually makes it worse. Like, if you like, tell me the hardest kind of time you've had, like on set or in a scene.
Oh, that's an interesting question. Because usually, like, my strong point, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but I have to say, is direction. So when a director tells me, like, can you do it this way? I'm really good at adjusting and doing kind of what they want. So I have to say, I've never been in a situation where they're just like, you're not getting it, you're not getting it. But I think maybe I've been in more like stunt, like, because when I worked at Universal Studios, I would also go work on sets and do stunts. That I've definitely been in situations where it's like the stunt's not working, or because everything's so precise, like you have to hit this like tiny little mark. So I've definitely been in situations where it's like we've had to adjust action because that's really hard to nail
Right.
sometimes, yeah, or like sell punches, or like, yeah, I did an episode of 911 and it was like we were all bobbing in the water after a plane crash forever, and it was just like it's so much fun, but it's like people don't realize the crazy
I got to
shit
see
that
which
goes
episode, because
into.
my wife, that's her guilty pleasure. Like some
No
people
way!
do the like reality show housewives thing. My wife is all about 911
911.
and really bad cop shows. And
Okay. Like,
so
ooh,
she
like what
just
kind of cop
watched
shows?
Fire
Like, which one?
Country, which is fire, not
Yeah, I've auditioned for that
okay,
many
not gotten it
times.
yet.
No, I actually just auditioned for one like 2 weeks ago. But it shoots in Vancouver, so unless they like you're really specific, they'll hire usually Vancouver actors, or they'll just fly up LA because it's like 3
Yeah,
hours
so
away, right?
she's done that one. Once in a while, it's so bad she can't watch it, and she'll be like, "Matt, I had to turn it off."
Like, I can't. Well, she's gonna be excited because I don't know if it's been announced, so I don't want to spoil anything, but I do know that there is going to be something similar
So
coming out.
Fire Country, something else.
Oh my god, look how sweaty I am. I'm a sweater, just by the way.
Hang on a second. This is my daughter calling. She just went to college.
Okay.
Casey,
Oh.
call. Can I call you back? Oh, she's very upset. She's very, very upset. No, we're gonna wrap up shortly. I feel really badly.
What is she studying?
She doesn't know yet. She literally just started like last week or this week. She just
that's
started.
Okay, so it's like emotions are
very
high.
She's amazing. She's the best. I have 2 boys. They're okay, but my daughter is fucking amazing. So my wife will be thrilled to hear that. But I want to know what I'm looking at your thing. Is it in here? Is it in your IMDb?
I'm not on it. No. I've just auditioned for it so many times. I don't know if it's been announced yet, so I don't want to say anything.
She's not. I've told her to start Chicago Med. She didn't, but she did The Resident. She loved, and that they shot that here.
One.
Some of it here,
okay.
And that's what's crazy is like we moved from LA. Both of us. She had acted for 20 years. I had done it for 10. We moved here, and literally the house that we bought when we lived over on that side of town, like they were shooting something in the parking lot. Like we saw these C-stands and we were like, holy shit. And now Atlanta, as you know, is like a hub. And back then they were like, well, Atlanta's going to be the next. It's like, whatever. Cause they've said that a lot for Toronto, Austin, Seattle, whatever but Atlanta clearly has stuck around and everything shoots here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, really busy in Atlanta.
Here?
I've only shot in Augusta.
What?
Yeah, I shot it was like a independent sci-fi with Luke Hemsworth called
See the ugly Hemsworth brother?
Okay. He's the oldest one.
Well, so the show you were on, where did it just go?
What show? Chicago. Doc? Oh, you should tell your wife to watch Doc. That's a good medical
American
show.
Horror Story?
Yep, that was my first ever gig in the States. So that's what got me my SAG card.
So John Carroll Lynch was in that show as Twisty the Clown. He's on.
No way!
Remember I said my buddy John Carroll Lynch? So yeah, he's clearly does good at psychos because he's a
great psycho. I'm a great psycho too. I
really
pride myself on being.
Where do we have to go for that? Because that's not your mom. Where do we have to go for that?
That's not my mom. I play a lot of where would you be able to see me? Like I play a lot of like single moms where like child services shows up a lot.
But I want to know where you need to go for that. I'm saying because if the fun sing-songy cop is your mom, where do you need to go internally to be the psycho?
Oh man, like honestly, playing those characters is like therapy to me. It's just so easy for me to go dark. I know. I sometimes I think of things in my life, but sometimes like honestly, I just like let rage out. Cause I usually in like Sarah's everyday life, I don't like conflict. I really don't like conflict. So I feel like that's where I get it out.
That's
through
awesome.
My acting. I really get like some crazy out. Yeah.
That's amazing. What else did I want to ask you about? Because I definitely was looking at this stuff. 21 Thunder.
Oh yeah, that's a soccer show I was on. Oh yeah, I played a pretty rough girl.
Okay.
In that.
Were you the mean girl on the team?
No, I wasn't on the team. I played the team's drug dealer's baby.
Wow, that is a part.
That's a part. Yeah, yeah. So the
4-episode
some of the
arc
lead
too. That's a
characters-
real thing.
Yeah, yeah. They were into drugs, and the drug dealer was causing issues, and then I was also, you know, thrown into the mix to cause some problems.
Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, got to play an alien.
Okay.
Fantastic. But an alien that you recognize, which was fun. But if you do play on that show, if you have like a certain amount of prosthetics, they're like, we don't recognize you. You could come back. So, you know, pros and cons. But I got to be in Star Trek, and that was definitely a bucket list moment for me, 100%. I got beamed up, like, hello.
Like the real beamed up. Like that's amazing.
I got beamed. Yeah, I got beamed.
Well, anything you shot that you can tell us about?
No, we're working on a few things right now, but not anything that is like, you know, worth being like hush hush about. It's just a few things that we're producing, a few shows that, you know, I want to be in, and that these characters, a couple local characters from Windsor that we're working on. So,
All right. Anything else you want to ask me?
I want to ask you when your next HYROX is.
I am signed up for Boston, and
Okay.
that is
that?
in like 3 weeks. And
shit.
I'm injured, and I'm doing so much travel in October that I think I have to cancel because it's like end of September, and I think I can't go anymore. And I'm really bummed out because I was going to visit family and blah blah blah. But because when I travel, I
Yeah.
usually do the event because you know.
Yeah, why not?
So I'm gonna get healthy and get stronger. That's what I'm gonna
Love
do.
that. What's your gym?
Oh, so my gym for the longest was my backyard. Because I
Nice.
was mostly like training for obstacle races. I just went for runs, and that's all I needed to do. And I didn't really like the gym.
Yeah.
HYROX and fitness racing has made me want to lift weights. And so I've got weights in the backyard, and I just signed up. There's a local place, give them a shout out, Union Performance Academy, where they do HYROX classes, and that's where I'm training now.
Oh, that's wicked. So in the HYROX classes, are they only doing the disciplines, or are they doing like different
It's
disciplines?
just
to
different
get you
days. So there's strength day, engine day, endurance day, and they just do different stuff. But it's all
that's cool.
HYROX related. And like
Okay.
you are sometimes
Very-
specifically doing wall balls, but not always, right? You see what I'm saying?
Right. Or you'll like do like, you know, push
Right.
presses, front squat, push press. Try saying
I'm
that
not
5
going
times.
to. All right, Sarah, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Sarah with an H. Film Booth is probably the best place to find me. I post all my exciting, you know, exclusive news there.